is spoken word, and I don't know if I had to read it right.
Is spoken word?
Yeah.
Oh, not like a poem?
It's more like a poem, if you're white.
Oh, geez.
It's like one of those embedded, subliminal, you catch different levels depending on where
Like coffee shop type thing.
where your entry point is. Have some anxiety about that?
And we're gonna have fun. Today
Good morning. Whether you're participating online or here in person, we say welcome back home to Live Oak Unitarian Universalist Church. My name's Ram Santanam. I've been a member of this congregation since 2015 and a UU since 1998. We started our journey in San Diego. So I'm so glad you're all here. For our guests, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to the Live Oak weekly newsletter. It's the go-to place for knowing what's happening around here. There's a link on our homepage so you can subscribe. Our minister, Reverend Joanna, is on sabbatical through August. We are very pleased to welcome Reverend Jami Yandle to our pulpit. Reverend Jami, who is non-binary and uses they, them pronouns, will be with us a few Sundays a month until Reverend Joanna returns from her sabbatical. When Reverend Jami is not here, they are in Georgetown, where they serve as the part-time minister for St. Gabriel Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. For the gift of this day and for our community of spiritual nurture and compassion, we give thanks. We light this chalice as a symbol of our faith. May our many sparks meet and merge in communion of heart and soul. Our opening song is 1024, When the Spirit Says Do. Please rise in body or spirit to participate.
You got to do when the Spirit says do. You got to do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you got to do. You got to do when the Spirit says do. Spirit says do. Spirit says do. Spirit says do. Spirit says do, Spirit says do, Spirit says do. You got to do when the Spirit says sing. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you got to sing. Oh, you got to sing when the Spirit says sing. Spirit says sing, 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 Spirit says do.
Every week, when we gather, we share pieces of our lives with each other. We share our sorrows so that we may offer comfort to one another, and we share our joys so that we may celebrate together. For those of you watching online, please share in the chat box any joys and sorrows you're carrying today. In this religious community, we hold with reverence the knowledge that each week a multitude of different emotions and experiences are brought together into this space. One of us may be celebrating, one weeping, one filled with determination, one with despair. This mosaic of experiences is holy, and we honor all with our witness.
Lee and what it means to be free. The true story of the grandmother of Juneteenth. Today, we are in the month of February, and what do we celebrate in February? We celebrate Valentine's Day. We also celebrate President's Day. And what is it that we celebrate during the entire month? We celebrate Black History Month during the month of February. And in celebration of Black History Month, I am going to read for you my story, Opal Lee, and what it means to be free, which is a celebration of the Juneteenth holiday. Freedom, hope, and joy divine. Juneteenth means it's freedom time, and we're going to celebrate Juneteenth during this Black History Month. Enjoy. Opal Lee and what it means to be free. The true story of the grandmother of Juneteenth. Words by Alice Faye Duncan. Art by Katura A. Bobo, New York Times best-selling illustrator. Happy Juneteenth Jamboree! Come and join the fun! Opal Lee waved to her great-grandson as he barreled across the park. He zipped past lines of picnic tables covered with platters of barbecue, baked beans, tomato tarts, and raspberry cobbler. He hurried past a leaping choir draped in purple robes. He danced a jig with cowboys playing fiddles, but they did not stop his flow. Buddy ran to the blooming tree where Opal Lee held court. Her braided hair was a silver crown. Her eyes were twinkling stars. When she had been a Texas bud, like the children at her feet, Granddaddy Zach told freedom stories on his wooden porch. As Opal Lee remembered his words, she lifted her hands and cheered. Juneteenth means freedom, and now it's story time. Then Opal Lee began. Once upon a blazing sun, black bodies were bought and sold like cattle. Black men plowed the fields, but were not allowed to own the land. Black women cooked the food, but were not allowed to feast on roast and ribs from the master's table. Black children cleaned the one-room schoolhouses, but were not allowed to read or write. Earning and learning were against the law. Slavery was a thief. Opal Lee told the children, "Remember my words for safekeeping. Remember what I say. Juneteenth is bigger than Texas, singing or dancing bands. Juneteenth is freedom rising, and freedom is for everyone. Juneteenth is you and me." As the children clapped and cheered, Buddy tugged her sleeve. "Great-granddear," he called, "what was Juneteenth like when you were a kid?" Opal Lee unwrapped another story. She said, "An angry mob with flaming sticks burned my family's brand new house. Their broken minds and evil hearts were so afraid of Black progress. The police made no arrest. My family moved away. And yet the embers burn. That fire still lives in me. I learned a big lesson that Juneteenth day. Freedom is a golden coin, and struggle makes it shine." The children lifted their hands in praise. Freedom, hope, and joy divine. Juneteenth means it's freedom time. Opal Lee winked and chuckled. "I think now it's time for barbecue, strawberry cake, and red Juneteenth punch." "Glory, glory, glory," Buddy cheered and waved his hands. When he bounced up to leave, Opal Lee hugged him tightly. Then, just like birds in flight, all the children flocked into her arms. Opal Lee studied their shining faces. black, brown, bronze, gold, white, tan, freckles. As the children dashed away, Opal Lee marveled at the bright future. She rested against the blooming tree and whispered into the wind, "Remember my words for safekeeping. Remember what I say. Freedom is for everyone. Juneteenth is you and me." In the words of that great African-American writer, Zora Neale Hurston, dropped a pen, the pen bent, and that's the way that story went. Have a super Black History Month.
Every week, we engage in the spiritual practice of generosity, combining our resources to support the ministries of this church. Part of our mission is to empower dreams, and this month, our partner is Austin Creative Reuse. This nonprofit puts art and crafts materials back into the hands of the community for very low prices, keeping it out of the landfill. The group also offers educational programs and community events to support reuse. Go to the donate link on the Live Oak website homepage. Use the drop-down menu to designate your donation for Share the Plate.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours, it will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory, glory, glory. Hands to the heavens, no man, no weapon formed against, yes, glory is destined. Every day women and men become legends. Sins that go against us can become blessings. The movement is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is just a position on us. Justice for all just ain't specific enough. One son died, his spirit is revisiting us. True and living in us. Resistance is us. That's why Rosa sat on the bus. That's why we walk through Ferguson with our hands up. When it go down, we woman and man up. They say stay down, and we stand up. Shots we on the ground, the camera panned up. King pointed to the mountaintop, and we ran up. Now the war is not over, victory isn't won, but we'll fight on till the finish, and then it's all done. We'll cry glory, oh glory, oh glory, oh glory, oh glory, oh glory. Selma's now for every man and woman and child. Even Kendrick got his crown in front of a crowd. They march with the torch, we gotta run with it now. Never look back, we done gone hundreds of miles. From dark roads he rose to become a hero, facing the judge of justice. The power was his people, enemy is lethal. A king became regal. Saw the face of Jim Crow under a bald eagle. The biggest weapon is to stay peaceful. We sing, our music is the cuts that we bleed through. Somewhere in the dream we had an epiphany. Now we right the wrongs in history. No one can win the war. Individually it takes wisdom in the elders, young people's energy. Welcome to the story we call victory. The joining of us all, my eyes have seen the glory. One day. Glory, glory, glory. When the war is won, when it's all over, said and done, we'll cry glory. Oh, glory, oh, glory.
Let's have another round of applause for that. Our meditation today is really just the naming of Father's Day and the harsh realities that this day can bring. Father's Day is a celebration for some. My dad is actually watching, so hi, Dad, I love you. Happy Father's Day. Complicated for those who never got to be a dad, exciting for those who are expecting to be a dad, and for those of us who are non-binary and sometimes take up fatherly roles in the lives of our absent father for our children's lives. It's complicated, and so I'm a bonus dad, kind of. And especially for those who lost their lives in slavery and never got to have a family. We honor and acknowledge and lift you and your ancestors up in this space. I moved to Texas a little over a year ago because I fell in love with the Texan. And I want to say that the service name for this is Earn It to Win It. We changed it to Juneteenth. We changed it to God Bless America. We changed it to God Bless Texas. So it's really a combination of all of these things because you got to do when the Spirit says do. So this is what the Spirit said, and I'm going with it. I fell in love with the Texan. And many of you who are either are Texan or fell in love with the Texan knows Texans love Texas. I didn't know this until I met my Texan, and she didn't know that folks from other states don't love their states in the same way. Other states do not count the number of songs written about them or lift up the writers and actors and scientists and even, yes, presidents from their state in the same way Texans do. Other folks are not taught the pledge to their state in school, nor are they forced to complete several months of state history every year. Other states don't put their flag on literally everything they own, from their cars to their clothing to the bottom of their shoes. I saw that recently. Other states do not celebrate their state's Independence Day, nor do they hang framed maps of their state in their homes, nor hoot and holler every time someone says the name of their state, nor eat food in the shape of their state. Those things which she viewed as perfectly normal were to me a bit weird, funny at best, cultish at worst. But as I fell in love with her, I fell in love with Texas. I fell in love with second cut brisket, hot as hell summers, red dirt, and the Rio Grande. I fell in love with that big blue Texas sky, that stretches all the way to Mexico. The shining Gulf, the rodeo, the freedom, the space, and the stars, which are in fact big and bright. I love the way my girl can two-step shoot whiskey and has a twang that comes out after she does both. And she says that's because she's a real Texas girl, a Longhorn, raised in the same church as Ann Richards herself. That's right, our beloved 45th governor of Texas, serving from 1991 to 1995, was a signed member of the First Unitarian Church of Dallas. Among Governor Richards' accomplishments were the reform of the Texas prison system and the establishment of a substance abuse program for inmates. She also backed proposals to reduce the sale of semi-automatic firearms, a debate which continues today. Had she been successful, perhaps Texans would not be mourning in Uvalde today. And it was what Richards represented to Texans that was so grand. The idea that we can and should be a blue state, opposed to Reagan-era economics and policies, a state free for all. And yet, as anything Texan, there is a difficult aspect of Richards' legacy as well. Although she campaigned to repeal the law through her political career, Richards signed into law as part of a package Texas Penal Code Section 21.06, which states, a person commits an offense if he engages in deviant sexual intercourse with another individual of the same sex. As governor, her signature criminalized same-sex relations in Texas. For the record, this section of the penal code still exists, but is unenforceable as long as Texas is a state in the United States, as the Supreme Court declared this law unconstitutional in 2003. This celebration, with caution, feels all too familiar. As we look to Juneteenth today, on this day in 1865, 2,000 Union troops arrived in Galveston Bay, Texas, to inform more than 250,000 enslaved black people that they were free. But the news was 2 years late. People who owned slaves did not want to use their free labor because of this news. They kept it quiet, destroying the bodies and souls of black and brown people even longer because of racism, because of greed, because of the evils of white privilege that went unchecked. So slaves were freed on paper, and then the US instituted the prison industrial complex to keep people enslaved further in a different way. And the proportion of brown and black people to white people is an overwhelmingly a majority. And that's the thing about Texas, isn't it? There are all the parts that make your heart sing and all the parts that make your heart break right in two. There's George Strait and George Bush. There are Taco Tuesdays and anti-trans bills. There are beautiful landscapes and fossil fuel production. There's Matthew McConaughey. That one is a complete sentence. Even my girl, she's a bit complicated, smart and funny with the highest standards you've ever seen, and a temper hotter than your steering wheel on an August afternoon. There's a lot of complicated mess about Texas. It makes us say, God bless Texas in the best way, and in that Southern bless your heart way. And that's the beauty of life. Joy and woe are woven fine. There is pride in being from Texas. There is also embarrassment. There are usually two responses to I live in Texas. The first is, oh, I'm so sorry. And the second is, oh my God, why? My Texas partner even tells the story of living in Seattle, where two members of the congregation she served performed a skit in the church talent show called Go Back to Texas. When she brought that issue to the minister the next day, the minister replied, but you got out. You're a refugee. You don't need to worry about that anymore. In fact, as you may know, it is difficult for congregations in the South to attract ministers because, well, Texas. When I moved to Texas, I was well aware of who the lawmakers are. I completely understood what I was up against. After all, I was born and raised in North Central Florida. My body is infused with Southern grit. Within weeks of moving here, I heard that the city ordinance protecting the housing camps had been voted down, and police were going to begin removing encampments that week. Months later, the devastating anti-trans mandate was issued, and healthcare came under attack again. And then, in a small town, 14 children were murdered. This summer is going to be hot. Energy fear sparked the PTSD from the grid failures of 2021. Inadequate responses to natural disaster again and again have broken trust with our elected officials, but gerrymandering keeps these officials in place, able to purchase their seats. I knew what I was in for, and I moved here because of it, not in spite of it. It's not just important that each one of us lives here and lives our Unitarian Universalist values of love, justice, hope, courage, and joy out loud every single day. It is also important, no, it is critical, that Live Oak and the work you do here exists. That we gather a small but mighty group of people that with the vision of Texas that is free and just and welcoming to all. Texas needs us, and it has long been said that the church doesn't have a mission, but the mission has a church. Here is ours given to us by this great state we live in. Transform Texas into the vision of beloved community that we see possible. We won't rest until every single person is free to live the life that is full of expression of who they are, where they have access to an adequate wage, secure housing, medical care, food, and an education. As Summer Awad, a Palestinian-American poet, playwright, and proud social justice warrior, says in this poem, "The South Speaks Her Mind." Stop talking about me like I'm not here. Stop stroking my hair and wrapping your lips around my darlings and honeys. While you tell me you know what's best for me, I will bless my own heart. Thank you very much. Stop assuming I am white and complacent. Stop running your mouth about my level of education. Stop joking that you should have let me secede, that I'm what happened when sisters and brothers breed. I am not your rape joke, not your cousin who's a little slow. I have been carving a path through these mountains and turning herbs into blood from vagina since before you could pronounce the word abortion. This porch in muggy mosquito weather is for talking strategy, not gossip. Licking resistance off my fingers from the jackfruit barbecue, don't act surprised. Your 2 cents is about as much as worth as sugar packets that you give me for your cold, unsweet tea. It's not my fault you don't understand solubility. You wear your condescension like a sombrero on Cinco de Mayo, scoffing at me until you want some good biscuits or a background photo op. I am not your fair weather friend. I am not one of those pennies smashed into a souvenir and printed with what is quaint and what you'd like to remember. My accent is not cute, it's imbued with folk wisdom and freedom songs. Do you know how much paper and marker is plastered on the walls of church fellowship halls, scribbled in the shape of ideas you think you taught us? We can hear you talking behind our backs, but not over our heads. Would you hand me that bug spray, sweetheart, so I can protect myself from your blood sucking? You're just like these damn mosquitoes, taking what's good, sucking it through a self-righteous, reusable straw, and leaving nothing but a swollen, useless itch. We will keep our children safe and whole. We will end racism and homophobia. We are the ones we've been waiting for. But the vision takes all of us every day, and it takes people we haven't even met yet. It takes all of us focused on the mission and inviting others into this holy work. It will take the love, size of Texas itself. This is our call. God bless Texas that is now. God bless the Texas that we have yet to build. And please rise in body and spirit for our closing hymn, number 201, Glory, Glory, Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, since I laid my burden down. Glory, glory, hallelujah, since I laid my burden down. Life is sweeter, so much sweeter, since I laid my burden down. Life is sweeter, so much sweeter, since I laid my burden down. Love is shining all around me, since I laid my burden down. Love is shining all around me, since I laid my burden down.
On the order of service, there's a listing of, join us for these upcoming events. Questions Big and Small is the fourth Wednesday of every month. Apparently I'm having trouble counting. So it's the fourth Wednesday, not the third Wednesday. And just a reminder that next week our service does not begin at 10 a.m. It's at 11 a.m. We're going to have a potluck because it is the General Assembly in Portland. They're doing their Sunday service and we'll be live streaming that. So 11 from 1, it is a potluck. So bring your Texas recipes. And speaking of Texas, that leads us to today's faith development news. The state of Texas and the Leander ISD School Board has seen fit to give us a summer reading list of some banned books. So we will be doing that all summer long. Today's the first session. Upstairs in room 105, no, upstairs is room 205, will be our kindergarten through 5th grade. They'll be reading some picture books that have been banned in the state of Texas or challenged in the state of Texas. And teens and adults will be right down the hall in room 105, and we will be discussing some banned books as well. And we'll be doing that all summer long because there's now a very big list that we can choose from. That will start in 15 minutes, so let's say 10:45.
The flame is extinguished, but not our hope for the future. Our courage in the face of crisis are the love we share in all the world.